Hey guys, Carrot97 again. This time a review of the 144 scale high-grade Universal Century Zaku 1 Black Tristar version from the Mobile Suit Variations. And as you've probably already guessed, this is a complete remold of the normal Zaku here. Exactly the same accessories, all the same goodness. So for colors, the blue has become mainly a light fuchsia color. Also, some of the blue parts here have become black. In general, the green, the very realistic moss green, has become black, and then a few other blue parts have become white. And then we have gray for the joints, the accessories, the thrusters, and a few other pieces. And the good news is, overall, for a remold, it's very color accurate, but one small problem at the top of the feet here, that should have been black. But overall, other than that, all the colors are exactly as they should be. And for stickers, we don't need a lot either. We only get 3 stickers, 2 for the mobile suit itself. We have one black one here to go on the track that the eye is on, and then 1 for the eye itself, which is as usual with the Zakus. And then we have 1 for the scope of the old machine gun. So overall, especially for a remold, this is very, very good. Other than the color scheme, there is one more difference between this release and the normal release, and that is this sticker sheet with very nice clear marking stickers. We have one very big Xeon symbol, which is for the shield. We have some rank insignias, and then we have numbers for Gaia, Ortega, and Mash. Number 2, number 3, and number 6. And what's also good is the articulation of this machine. The head goes up, down, the head rotates around all the way. Well, it would have rotated all the way around when you remove this part here. And then when we pull off the head, the good news here is this is the first model that utilizes this track system. Well, that utilizes a lever to move the mono eye, so you don't have to rip open the entire scalp, spend half an hour doing that, and then when you put the scalp back on, the eye has moved. So this is very easy to move the eye, and just pop the head back up. You grab a toothpick, a sharp knife or something like that, and then you can simply move that around. Very, very nice. Then this extra support thingy moves up and down, and then the arm rotates around all the way, goes up very nicely, forwards very, very far. That's very good. That's really good. And then bends at the elbow at 2 joints, also great. Hands are, as always, on ball joints. Will wiggle around, turn around, and do everything a ball joint does. Talking about ball joints, the head here also has some backwards and forwards chicken movement, and goes up very nicely until it pops off. So that's about as far as you're gonna get. And then quickly back to the arms. The left arm, shoulder shield here, goes up all the way thanks to a hinge, so no problems at all with the arms. And then waist articulation, this is fantastic for a Zaku because there are no hoses, backwards and forwards very far, and will rotate around all the way. Like I said, there are no hoses on this machine, so it can finally rotate around all the way. I think I forgot to mention that the arms also rotate around all the way. There we go. Then front skirts are molded together but can be separated. Then the legs go out forward very nicely. Backwards, not quite as much, but that's still very far. And that's really good for an older high grade, and he can do the split perfectly. Then outwards about that far, which is still pretty nice. The knees are double jointed, but that bottom joint, well, it doesn't do a lot, but it's still nice that it's there. So overall, that's still significantly more than 90 degrees, so that's always great to see. The feet have the typical crazy Zaku joints. So we have a hinge at the top. We'll also go side to side on that hinge. Then it's on a ball joint. That ball joint itself is also on a hinge, so it goes forwards very far, backwards also very far, and then that is once again on a hinge here. So we also have some flip-flop action going on, and in short, that foot can go pretty much everywhere until it pops out. And this is probably a lot better to see it. So here you have the connection for the ball joint. That thing itself is on a hinge, and this peg here connects to a hinge inside of the foot. So that is some crazy articulation that's going on there. And then the leg itself will also go side to side a bit. Well, it will rotate around a bit. So overall, the articulation was fantastic for the time and still holds up very well today. And then on to more good news, the accessories. Let's start off with the handheld accessories we're getting. This shield here, which is very cool looking. You have the spikes at the end. You know, this is really made as kind of an assault shield and not just a defensive shield. And the bad news is it doesn't really stay put all that well. So when you're gonna put it in an action pose, it's best to have it kind of like this, a bit upward or all the way up like that. When you just have it hanging around, as you can see, it's not the best connection, but this thing is meant to be used in action. So in an action pose, this is going to be okay. I'm going to remove this. Then you can actually get it to hold. So if you're going to use the shield, either have it in action pose or do not use the Sturmfaust. And what you can use that thing for is you put it in the hand, and it's actually a very solid fit. And as you saw, it only fell out when I started shaking it, and so that is a very good connection. And then you just hold it and it shoots off a one-use weapon. So let's put this to the side, and well, yeah, as you can see, the shield, it's not the best. Now it suddenly doesn't want to stay up anymore. There we go. And then the final weapon for those hands, the Heat Hog. And you'll be pleased to hear that it suffers from the usual Heat Hog problems. The hands don't really like to hold it unless you manage to put it in that one sweet spot. And there we go. That is about the sweet spot, and that will cause the Heat Hog to stay. So yeah, still not the best fit. So we get the Heat Hog holder, we take the Heat Hog out, put it in the holder, and we put the Heat Hog on the side skirt. There's also a hole on the other side, and you can also put the Heat Hog there if you'd want to. But the best place to put the Heat Hog is in storage, since it doesn't really like to stay put all that well inside the hands. And talking about the hands, we get some more hands, and this is probably my favorite hand of this entire kit. The left open holding hand, because this is so multifunctional. When you put it in, well, you can of course use it for a more dramatic pose like no, or you can use it for an anime action pose as the old, well, as the normal as the normal Zaku one did, kind of like a ramming, football ramming pose. Go straight up there, or as you will see in just a second when I bring in another weapon, that is this single load bazooka. Simply put it, and this is on a dedicated trigger finger hand, and it's on there really securely, and it's also slightly on an angle. Just pop it in there, and neither of these hands, well, technically, both these hands are on ball joints, but because the ball joint is in there so, well, it doesn't really have a peg that connects the ball joint, so it's really just the ball joint glued to the hand, so they wiggle around a bit, but not a lot, and the same goes for this bazooka hand. So you put down the tray here, put on the bazooka, and then, thanks to that fantastic shoulder articulation, you can have him supported underneath. So that allows for some really great action poses. And that's not all you can use it for, because and you might not have seen it, but it really grips onto the model. It really grips onto the bazooka. And when you try to put it off, as you see, the hand, not too bad. And when we get rid of this, still not all you can do with it, because since I said it grabs onto the bazooka kinda, he can, you know, pose with it like this. So that's once again another thing that hand can do. This thing can do so much. You know, that's really why I love this hand. And then the final hand we're getting is a trigger finger hand. You can also use the bazooka with it, but it's very, very loose in there, to the point where, well, you're probably not going to use it unless you want to do an under the shoulder action. But other than that, this thing should really use the dedicated trigger finger. Let's get rid of this and bring in the accessory that hand was made for, the machine gun. And this is the old Zaku 1 machine gun, slightly different from the Zaku 2 machine gun. We have a movable scope, which is very loose on there, and a movable handle. And then you can either, well, once again, have him hold it at the bottom with that hand, or you can just bring in the normal holding hand. And there we go, a very natural looking forward shooting pose thanks to the fantastic articulation. Now then, we've put away the bazooka, but we can still put it on the machine when we turn it around. Lower the hatch here, which is a hell of a lot easier than the Zaku 2. And we can put it on there. The one thing that is the same as the Zaku 2, it's not the tightest fit. And because the machine gun uses a similar trigger guard, you can actually put it on there as well, in case you're using the bazooka in the right hand. And oh yeah, you can kinda put the bazooka in the left holding hand, though if you do so, there is a tiny gap between the two halves. So while you can do it, it's not gonna look fantastic, but it is doable. Kind of the same thing here. It doesn't look that fantastic, but you can do it, and that is the important thing. Though I don't think the manual even tells you that you can do this, but obviously this was totally made to go in there. Then you just gotta make sure that your scope here doesn't interfere with your rocket thrusters. That's probably not the best way to treat a scope. There we go. Now it's safer. Though it does seem like this ammo clip here is... Now, well, you just gotta be careful. There we go. But that's still not everything for accessories, because we also we have the commander antenna on. And in case you don't want your unit to be a commander unit, you have the normal scalp. But let's face it, we all want our machines to be the commander. Now what we also get is this square piece. And what that's for is to remove the support platform for the bazooka. And instead of just having an ugly hole there, you just put this over there. And there we go. It's a bit fidgety to remove, but it's very nice that they gave us this closing thing instead of just having an ugly gap there. So that's very good. Very nice attention to detail. And when we look at the bottom, this here is a hole for an action base. And once again, we get a cover to close it up. Yet again, attention to detail. Though the unfortunate part is that this will kind of hinder the mobility of the legs. Let's see if that's in there correctly. There we go. And then this is as far as they will close. Bringing in the normal Zaku, then the legs can go inwards all the way. As you can see, it's, well, not that big a deal. So it just depends on what you're going for. And to wrap things up, one cool thing you can do with the shield is if you buy another Zaku, there's another hole here, another hole at the bottom, so you can actually put a second Sturmfaust on there. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And just as with their Zaku 2 high mobility type, the real question should be, how many do you want to buy? I mean, the articulation is fantastic, the color scheme is gorgeous, and we get a lot of accessories. And for just 1,000 yen. This kit was absolutely mind-blowing at the time and still holds up very, very well today. Like I said, for 1,000 yen you're getting a machine gun, a bazooka, the heat hog, the shield, the Sturmfaust, and we're getting some extra tidbits here and there. We have that platform for the bazooka. We have a normal head, we have the commander antenna, we have the stickers, you know, those marking stickers with the insignias, the Xeon symbol. Fantastic for just 1,000 yen. Like I said, this is really a great kit, and it's definitely one of my favorite Zakus out there. Mind you, it's not perfect, it has its flaws, like the scope here is a bit floppy. The bazooka could have been connected a bit better, the heat hog could have been a bit better, the shield could have been connected to, well, the handling of the shield could have been a bit better. And, you know, those small things, the black on top of the feet could have been done. We could have gotten stickers here and there, but this is definitely one of those kits where you have to look at the overall picture and then you see that this is really a great kit. And those little flaws, all the other fantastic things totally make up for that. So if you're a fan of the Zaku, if you're a Zaku lover, if you're a fan of the Black Tristars, this is absolutely a must get. Either get this or get the normal green one if you prefer that color scheme. Really, if you're not sure which one to get, definitely go for the Black Tristars. Yes, it's technically color inaccurate because of the feet, but you do get the extra marking stickers. And other than that, just pick the one you think looks the best. And like I said, as far as Zakus go, this is really a very, very nice machine. Much better than the older higher tunable century Zaku 2. And I would say that this is still some very good competition for the more modern Zakus, like the Zaku F2, the high mobility types, especially when you consider the price of 1,000 yen. Once again, that's really the most surprising of this. You're getting the plethora of weapons, all the other little things. You have this fantastic open hand for action poses. All of that combined make an awesome kit that I can definitely recommend to anyone. Seriously. And finally, for some size comparisons, here is once again next to the old Zaku 1, and let's immediately put him next to the old Zaku 2. And, well, let's ignore the color scheme, and as you can see, the Zaku 1 definitely looks a lot more badass. And talking about badass Zakus, here is next to the Black Stars version of the high mobility type, and here is next to the F2. And I gotta say it again, this one still holds up very well today. And since we already have 2 Black Zakus in a row, let's make that 3 Black Zakus in a row. Fortunately, this is the old Zaku 2, but hey, it's pitch black and pretty badass looking. And can you ever have too many Zakus? Let's do yet another comparison. Here we have the Zaku 2, the very old 8 MST1, and it might not be a Zaku, but here is next to the Goof. It's not like people mistake this thing for a Zaku regardless. And finally, to give some more scope on the size of this thing, here is next to a center size Gym Custom. And as you can see, head height is slightly lower, but the command antenna definitely makes up for that. And when we're talking about size, we can't forget about the Zaku 3. And you know what? Let's have the development line in a nice row here. 1, 2, 3, something went horribly wrong. Or horribly right. Probably horribly right, but we're not talking about that behemoth. We're talking about this fantastic machine. It might not be big, but it definitely, absolutely, 100%ly makes up for that. Definitely pick this up. And see you guys next time.